bowing down and kneeling that you brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work. And that you are, and you enable us to take part in the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us with such a big favor? That is the reason we plead before you, that you will forgive and acquit all of our sins, that they should not bring separation between you and us. May it be your will before you, our God and the God of our fathers, that you will awaken and prepare our hearts to love and revere you. And may you listen to our utterances and open our closed heart to the hidden study of your Torah. And may our study be pleasant before your place of honor as aroma of sweet incense. And may you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being. And may the sparks of your holy servants, through which you revealed your wisdom to the world, shine. May their merit and the merit of their fathers and the merit of their Torah and holiness support us, so we shall not stumble through our study. And by their merit enlighten our eyes, as stated by King David, the sweet singer of Israel. Open my eyes so that I see wonders from your Torah. Because from his mouth God gives wisdom and understanding. May the utterance of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
Are we rolling?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Today, we are going to continue a little bit from last week on the female aspect of messiahship. And we're going to go into some stuff I've understood about Miriam. And then we're going to go into some stuff about what Rabbi Katz is doing. We may even start with that. And then we're going to go into maybe some Adam. We may move Adam after, but because Passover is coming up this week, we're going to go in depth into Passover. This particular class this week comes with a very stern warning, and this subject matter is so in-depth and so detailed and so crucial that when the Ari taught it, he saw a raven flying toward him, and he knew that he should not teach it. And the next day, his son died. And so, only up until now, the Leshem expounds on it, and it is able to be dealt with and taught because of where we are in space-time relative to where they were. But just to let you know how precious this little ray of light is, and what we're going to get in today with Passover. So just be mindful of the Torah and what is going to be revealed today. So with that in mind, we're going to start first with discussion about female messiahship. What part of female messiahship have we forgotten? First of all, we've forgotten really about the active role in our own homes with our own wives and the women that are in the class and even watching on the video. But the main thing we've forgotten is Shabbat. Everybody is trying to squelch out Shabbat. The non-Jews shouldn't do Shabbat. No, idolaters shouldn't do Shabbat. But for the Ger should do Shabbat. Because Shabbat is her, and she is trying to make Zivu Wazah. Let me turn off this Facebook thing, or it'll... Hold on, Travis. It'll beep and beep and beep the whole class. How do I get over here? Give me just a second. My mouse is messing up. This is really got me. Why can't I get it to move? There we go. Okay. We're back. Because on Shabbat, this is when God is trying to connect to the earth, trying to connect to its Malchut. In our homes, the Shabbat table and our homes are called the tabernacle of peace. Peace is another word for zivug, for union. So, the halakha is that the man should light the candle. But this has been given over to the women, because it's a huge mitzvah for the women to do, lighting the Shabbat candle. So what are the women doing when they're lighting the Shabbat candle? All right? They are reestablishing the emanator's light into the earth. And when that's done, all evil spirits flee from that area. All right? So, we know the sages say if every Jew would do Shabbat at the same time, Messiah would come. And so, that's how powerful it is. So, what happens? Because when a woman lights Shabbat, she becomes the supernal mother on the earth. She becomes Bina. And everything in her house is now guarded. Because we say every Shabbat you get a new soul. You get another soul. She is the one that brings that soul in and literally delivers that soul to the house. So you don't pray for protection on Shabbat. That's one of the things you don't do. Why? Because Shabbat, by nature, just doing Shabbat by nature, protects everybody in the house. We're having technical difficulties. Hold on. Okay, untechnical difficulties. So Shabbat brings this supernal protection in. How? It connects Israel to the Malchut. It connects Zah to Israel and to the world, even into your house. So this is why your kids come under the wings of the Shekhinah, because you are now the Shekhinah in your own home. The upper and the lower. A man should have 2 wives. What does that mean? How can a man have 2 wives? Well, let's do the math. Adam had Hava and Lilith, right? Abraham, basically Keturah and Sarah, on down the line. But let's deal with Jacob, Leah and Rachel. Lower Shekhinah, upper Shekhinah. So the Zohar says that when a man is in his house, he is with his wife and the Shekhinah rests on them. But when a man goes on a journey, she prays and sends the Shekhinah with him on his journey, so that he is always in union. So then she is now the lower Shekhinah, and now the upper Shekhinah is guarding him. Those are the 2 wives. All right. When he returns to the house, the Shekhinah, and now he gets back in union or zivug with his wife, then the Shekhinah now returns to her. So he's always under her protection. And it says a woman who lights the Shabbat candles adds long life to her husband. So this is a very messianic thing. So she is responsible for this neshimot, this new soul that she's bringing into earth. But what is the secret that she's lighting the candles? The Zohar says, because Hava extinguished the candles of the world by causing Adam to eat, thus bringing death and darkness into the world. Thus, by lighting the candles, she is correcting Hava's mistake. She is doing tikkun for Hava, which is a pretty serious job to do. Thus, she becomes mother to the world and the souls under her. And when she lights the candles, the supernal light returns to the world. And she stands as a supernal mother. She should find joy in her heart and have great concentration when doing this, because the supernal glory is now hers. She brings peace or zivug to the world and long life to her husband. This is in the secret of many have massed achievement, but you surpass them all. In the woman of valor. Mishlei 31:29. And it says, Tehillim 85:14 says, righteousness shall go before him, and then he shall place his footsteps on his way. So what is righteousness versus righteous? A man is righteous. A woman is righteousness. So anytime you see righteousness in Torah, it's talking about her. Because she is the thing that is receiving, she's the vessel for the righteous, for the tzaddik. She's the vessel containing the righteous, therefore she is righteousness. So when her righteousness goes before them, the ark went before them, the righteousness went before them, the Shekhinah, then the men should follow. It's almost, ladies first. Right? And so, why? Not because they want to look at her or because it's polite, it's because that's where the power is. That's the thing that's blowing out the klipa, is the supernal light, the supernal mother, Bina, Elohim. All right? So, I wanted to elaborate on that a little bit, just simply because, Shabbat's coming up, we have lighting candles, and Passover's coming up, you're doing all this stuff, to give you guys a little sense of glory, I guess is the best word for it. It's tzedakah. I mean, this is what the charity is. The charity is you are bringing God's light into the earth, and it is now your glory. Right? So the word tzelek. This is going along this same thing. This is the rib that was taken from Adam, which is we know is his malchut, right? And listen to this very closely, because when we get done with Passover, with the Passover teaching, this what we're saying right here is going to make all the difference in the world. It says Elohim understands her ways, and he knew her place. This is in Job 28:23. So it's speaking about her. What is this rib? It is Malchut. It is her. The Zohar says this is the oral Torah. She is the oral Torah. What is the woman that we have forgotten? Our own women in Torah, the matriarchs, the Shabbat, and the oral Torah. The oral Torah is in exile. How can the oral Torah be in exile? It's written in black and white. It's never supposed to be written in black and white. The fact that the oral Torah exists means it is in exile in a book. It's not made for a book. It's made for oral transmission. So, if the Torah is Zah, male, and she is the oral Torah, even though God took Hava out of Adam, so did He remove the oral Torah out of the written Torah. And so we have to now bring them back together. And what we try to do in this class is go through the Peshat, through Zah, and add in Nukva, making Zivug in union with the Torah, just like we would at Shabbat. So as soon as Shabbat is done and the man has eaten food, right? That's what the Shabbat table's for. Then the single most important mitzvah is husband and wife union, because she is creating Zivug, as below, so above, and this is her function. So it says he knew her ways and he knew her place. This is the oral Torah, in which the Zohar says there is a path. It makes a way to the sea. Yeshaya 43:16. The sea, Malchut. And thus it says Elohim understood her ways. And he knew her place. What is her place? Her place is in the written Torah, Zeranpin. Because he knew her place. Knew is knowing. It's Zivug. When you do that, when you add the oral to the written, this makes Hashem, Elohim, a complete name, and it corrects Malchut in everything. This is what her ways are. Her ways is Da'at. You are bringing the Da'at up, and now the mentality is Leah, same level. 2 wives, lower, upper. Which now is her Mohim, which she draws from Abba, the light of Hasidim. The rib that he took from man, he took the oral Torah out of the written, which is the fire, the Guvarot of the Torah. And they burn as one on Shabbat, the 2 candles. Burn as one. Because the halakha is 1 candle. But the ancient tradition is 2. Because woman is Isha, fire. Therefore the oral Torah is Isha, fire. And it says, and he bestows an abundance of food to her. This is Zebul. This is eating. This is man of valor. This is the prayers on Shabbat that we say. So a man is righteous, a woman is righteousness. And we're going to get into this word in a minute. Ophir is a deer and Afar is a gazelle. Ophir is also a dust. But the term gazelle that we're going to use in a little while is a different term. Don't confuse that. But as a deer to a gazelle, righteous to righteousness. Because we're going to find out in the Torah, it says, and to dust you shall return. What is he talking about there? Afar is dust. It's righteousness. It's her. Adam, you will return to her. She is dust. He is dust. They're both dust. But they return together. Alright? The man is going to return. Hashem is going to return to Malchut, so to speak. Zah back to Nuk. It works on every level. The rib that Hashem Elohim built from the dust of the earth is Temple Mount. And Adam became a living soul. When the oral goes into the written and is now in union, Adam will become a living being. This is our goal. This is our strategy. And it says, and he brought her to Adam. He brought her to him. This is the whole house. Because only a wife can give you permission to enter her house. Both physical and physical. So, the oral Torah is now coming, it's all coming back. Right? We're studying the deepest levels of oral Torah that we can possibly understand. Now, this is going to segue right into the kasha of Miriam. Remember the story of Miriam. She speaks Lashon Hara against Moshe. And she gets the Sara'at, the quote-unquote mistranslated leprosy. What's going on there? We know Zipporah is his wife. But we know he has been invited in. The woman invites you in. He has been invited in to the tent where the Shekhinah is in union. The upper Shekhinah. Now we have to say, Zipporah knows what's going on. Miriam knows what's going on. They're not stupid. So why does she get Sara'at? The correct question is, who is Miriam? And who is Zipporah? I just said, a man must have two wives.
Oh, that's right. Come on,
From the lower, now he's in union with the upper. There's a problem. Abraham goes down to Egypt and gets in trouble. And what does he tell? What does he tell Sarah to tell Pharaoh? Huh?
His sister.
He says, say to Pharaoh, you are my sister. Isaac has the same issue. Can anybody tell me who Miriam is?
She must be Moses' wife.
Moses' sister.
She is Moses' sister.
Sister.
She is the lower Shekhinah. You see, she doesn't want to be left out. She is the aspect of Israel that has fallen, that has Sara'at. What happened to Eve? When Adam and Eve fall out, their light bodies had skin. On that level, that's Sara'at. On the level that they are, Moses has got his light back. You can't even look at him. He's got to wear a veil. He's regained that supernal light. But Miriam knows she's still in exile. The mere fact that he did that caused what she said. She knows what's going on. You're putting your wife away? Your sister, so to speak? You see? Therefore, she's got Sarah. She's outside the camp. Something very crazy happens next. Moses comes out and he says the shortest prayer in the history of Torah. God, please heal her. Done. There's a secret in that prayer. If you read that prayer in Hebrew, in one of the middle words, I think it's from Rapha, like the heel, is a pay. But if you're looking at it from God's point of view, He's reading it from the inside out. The atbash of that is a vav. This is where we find the sacred serpent. Moshe is the sacred serpent, the Mashiach, so to speak. And it is the very thing she wanted. The vav connected, healed her. This is only an iteration of what's going to happen at the end times. What heralds, announces Mashiach to save the tzara'at of Israel? Elijah, Sandalphon, right? The lower lip, female of Moshe. Who does it announce? Moshe Rabbeinu with the Yechidah. And what's he going to say? God, please heal her. Talking about Israel. It's going to happen in an instant. It's been in exile. It is Miriam. It is the woman. It is the one with contaminated skin, light. It's not supposed to be that way. And in an instant it will heal. And this is what I figured out is the supersode of Miriam, because she is his sister. So Catherine had a question on the mandrakes. All right? And the mandrakes are, I'm going to call them duodim, or doadim. That's the Hebrew deal. This is the same word as translated as my beloved, when David is writing my beloved. It's the same word used in lakadodi, doadim, lakadodi. All right? This is it's a very feminine thing. So the question is, okay, basically Leah gives these mandrakes to Rachel, and for her, let's just call it fertility. All right? David says that these are that which cause and arouse love. The Zohar says, if you say that the mandrakes opened her womb, it can't be, because God heard her prayer and opened her womb. Although they possess supernal powers, this does not extend to children and to having children, because it's dependent upon your mazel anyway, the supernal flow. But if you say they were created in vain, you've missed the whole point. For even in this matter, they help. Because she is tapping into its higher root, the mandrake's higher root, where it came from in the Gan. Its mazel. In theory, it's a manipulation of a spiritual physical force. It stimulates it. It's a stimulant, so to speak. We would call that an aphrodisiac, right? Ravali says, types of herbs that cause love between man and his wife are what these are. Which the guy who helped her do this, his name is Reuben. Reuben is the same word as Ben Or, son of light. This is the primordial light of love and loving kindness and hesed. So it makes sense. What is she giving? What is the upper Shekhinah given to the lower Shekhinah? The supernal light of love that now she can use, stimulation from below, because Jacob is none other than Adam. These girls are working the whole system. So, Catherine, I hope that answers your question there. And before we get too far, I want to quickly go over my rendition of what I think is happening with Rabbi Katz and the movement and the Ger. Okay? I'm just going to draw these 3 upper sphirot, and then we're going to call it these 7 lower here. Now, this is also an aspect of Messiah ben David, we know. All 7 in the lower realm, this is Messiah ben Joseph. Up here, Messiah ben David. Okay? If you look up here on our chart, when you're talking Netzach Hod Yisod, you use the word Nahi. When you're talking Hesed Guvro Teferet, you use the acronym Hagat. When you're talking Hokmah Bina Das, you use the word Chabad. Okay? Or Chabad. Chokmah, Chabad. So, we're going to write Chabad up here. Because that's its acronym. Ger. These levels are strangers. They're supposed to be Atzilut. Anything that's not an Atzilut is a stranger. Ger. So, Katz has been telling, all of his journeys have been talking to people pretty much in Chabad. Right? Chicago, Cleveland, Montreal, New York. He's trying to get them to get Ger. What is he really doing? He's trying to get Judah to recognize Joseph. It's Messiah ben Joseph, cloaked and disguised like it's supposed to be as Ger. Hey, you guys need to get Ger. You guys need to get Ger. The Rebbe is fractal Messiah ben David. What does all this part study? It's the school of the Gaon. The Gaon was Messiah ben Joseph. The sages say that if the Gaon of Vilna and the Alter Rebbe would have ever met, the Messiah would have come. What happened? 7 Rebbes later, when the latest Rebbe passed away, what was published? The Kol HaTorah. Messiah ben Joseph, Messiah ben David. What is Rabbi Katz currently translating? The Kol HaTorah. The mission that I believe that the Ger are on is without question it's Messiah ben Joseph. But it's going under the guise and the title of Ger. As soon as they get Ger, they get Messiah ben Joseph. That's when Messiah ben David sees Messiah ben Joseph. Now, that is when the Vav, which is this area, and then here's the Hay, when the Vav enters the Hay, and now the fallen aspect of Messiah ben David can now be elevated back up, and this is no more Messiah ben Joseph, and Messiah ben Joseph shall die. But when it said Od Yosef Chai, Chai is 18. Chai is the erecting the tabernacle of David, which Solomon did. He was Sphirot Yesod. He was Yesod of Zeranpin. That's who he was. That's why he got to erect the tabernacle of David, not David. David was Malchut. As soon as they as they let it enter, as they recognize it and they see it, the elevation will automatically happen. And this is Messiahship. When she is on the same level as he. Consciously. This is return of the oral, return of the ger, return of the woman, return of everything. This is what is, I believe, is going on with everything that is happening on his journeys and quests doing it. Because
Yeah, but isn't that the whole thing? As you say, in relationship to, we are feminine in relationship to the Jew. And so we're the oral, we're everything that can be identified with the feminine, with woman as a phrase, is also ger.
I tell you, this phenomenon, I didn't get it until I was in Chicago, and there was 10 men and 10 women sitting at the Shabbat table. We had 2 part Sufim, but that's really only one. It's only the Hasidim and Guvurot of the Hasidim, and the Hasidim and Guvurot of Tiferet, and the Hasidim and Guvurot of Guvurot. But we had 10. We had an entire part Sufim there. Mm-hmm. And that's why we said this is messianic. This is Messiahship. It's what it is, right? And so I'm on some kind of a quest to not leave out the women, because it's all about Malchut. If God's consciousness is so focused on Malchut, then ours should be as well. And when you get that Torah woman that is in union with the Holy One, she ain't gonna let you mess up. It ain't gonna happen. She ain't gonna let you mess up.
You'll get in trouble. You
will get in trouble. Right?
Yeah.
We know that better than anybody. Okay. All right. Let's see, we check our time here. 7 o'clock. Okay. All right. Let's see. I don't want to mess this up.
Oh, we don't want you to.
All right. How many generations is it? We may do Adam later. How many generations is it from Adam to Noah? 10. How many generations from Noah to Abraham? 10. How many generations from Abraham to Moshe? 6. 26. That is the Havayah. So now something is very important going on with Moses. This is the 26th generation. Now, we know that 974 generations have already come and gone. Creations, dispensations, however you want to call it. So this is the 1000th. This is the Keter. And what am I talking about? Pesach. At this time, on Moshe's watch, Moshe was born circumcised. So, who is Moshe Rabbeinu? He is Yesod Abba. That light strand that has gone all the way through. Egypt is Malchut. So, we have a situation brewing. Now, I mentioned in previous classes working up to this that we have a huge problem with Zaanuk. The problem is when it's that dense and there's that much guvarot, it's in cottonute. So it is so constricted. All right, it's in cottonute. It has fallen. Reality has fallen 49 levels. If it falls to the 50th level, it destroys itself and it goes back to Tohu. God is not going to let that happen. So this is the darkest time on the face of the earth at this time. It is really, really bad. So he makes them eat the other god, basically. You know, kill the lamb, eat the lamb, let them know you can eat the lamb. Put the blood. The hyssop is the yesod. The door is the malchut. All right? So not only is this circumcision blood from the hyssop's point of view, it's hymen blood from the door's point of view. Now we know whenever there's blood, there's evil forces. And what is more nasty than the angel of death that comes through and wipes everything out? It's going to feed on the blood. Either come in the house and kill people, get the blood, or it's going to eat the blood, so to speak, on the door. So Passover night, something happens. They are in Atzilut for 24 hours. This is the extracting not only of the children of Israel out of the whole mess, but it's the extraction of the Shekhinah out of the whole mess. All right. So Zah and Nook are in Katnut. They are as constricted they can be. They are the child Keruvim. That night, Atzilut. Well, now it's Abba Ima. They're in union. Well, what happens when they're in union? She's pregnant. But guess what? Back down. Now she's back down because they have to go out. And now she's in Katnut. She's pregnant. Like it would be, say, a 5-year-old girl or a 13-year-old girl, you know, full pregnant. But I'm not talking about just impregnated. I'm talking about she's due. She's due. Right? What would this be called on this level? For something to get impregnated like that.
Immaculate conception.
It's an immaculate conception. This is where the other side has to have its own immaculate conception. So, God, now He has a huge problem. Okay? So y'all now see what the problem is. This is the 26th generation. This is the completion of the whole thing. This is Moshe Rabbeinu. This is Adam's return. Moshe is Adam's da'at. Da'at is fixed now. Da'at has not fallen. The vessels have not shattered. It has been repaired. The tzaddikim have been working on it for 26 generations. And now Adam is on the scene. And he's got all of his factors. All right? Passover, it speaks of, God says, and I will do it for myself. This is Adam speaking. He's going to do it for himself. This is the giant Taurus being put into work. He is pulling himself back through himself. It has fallen to the black hole, to the 48th and 49th level. But we know Hesed is always one more. It's 51 versus the other side. Adam is making it impossible to get himself out. Everyone in Egypt is doing Avodah Zorah. The Egyptians, the Jews, everything. What has just happened? Adam, God, has just realized, I'm on the other side of the fence. You can't separate yourself from yourself. But he just realized he did it. It's a huge, huge problem. And I will go into why. He cannot save them, the Jews, because they have no mon. They have created no stimulation. They have no Torah. They have no merit. So it says they have to draw on the aspect of the three forefathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, and the four mothers, the seven. But it needs more. This is dire straits. So it has to make a deal called the Brit Ovat, the covenant. Who does it make this deal with? The Satan, the serpent of the other side. It makes him a deal. It says, okay, here's what's going to happen. I'm fixing to absolutely destroy you. Because I can't let this go any further, because I've just finally completed my Havayah. And here you are. So I'm going to destroy you. Or you can help me out in this situation. Let them all go. And there's a trade-off. I will resurrect you. Big deal. Big deal. Why would God even contemplate something like that? I have the ability of what I'm going to call free need or free want. I want to drink some water. But it's only because my body needs it. I think I'm making the decision of having this free choice to drink this bottle of water. What my body is telling me is, chemically, you need to drink water. But our ego thinks we're choosing to do what we want to do. I need a vehicle, so I buy a vehicle. Let's not confuse free want, free need, and free choice with free will. Free will is the gamut of what you have accomplished over a lifetime. Because will is above thought. You think free will is, I can choose to do what I want to do. No. Circumstances make you choose what you want to do. If you have a lot of money, you have more choices. If you don't, those circumstances make you have what you think is free will. As the classes have gone before, only God has free will. How? He has to have the other side. Without the other side, free will stops. There is no free will. There is no, I said before you day, life and death, choose life. There is no that. Well, he's just finally finished creation. He finally got to the furthest extent of himself, to the outer crust, to the final Havaya. And what is at the final crust? The other side. So if he gets rid of the other side, he has no more. It's over. But he just got creation finished. This is what Pesach, he just finished it. This is not that he didn't finish, it just finally got to its, he's just finally pushed, he's finally pushed, blow balloon up. He's finally pushed Malchuts, all the Malchuts together, and guess what? They touch. They touched. Now, even though the balloon is still around my finger, it really doesn't touch. But it touches enough, I have just felt myself. What is God trying to do? He's trying to create something outside of himself, hide something outside of himself, to find something new about himself so that he can touch himself. This is the first night he's ever been able to do it. This is it. This is the pivotal point. Now, something is being birthed. Finally. What is being birthed? It's something from Atzilut. But it's brought down in Katnut into Asiya. And it's called the nation of Israel. It's not from here. They are not from here. They were birthed there. And they were brought into this dispensation. But there's a huge problem. Whenever you have a birth of that magnitude from there here, what feeds on that? The other side, more powerful than ever. The problem is, this is what the hurry is. They have to hurry up and get out, because if they don't hurry up and get out, what's going to happen? The other side's going to die completely. They'd gotten rid of all the leaven. They were getting rid of the other side completely. The 10 strikes the whole previous year had gotten rid of all the klipa. And God says, y'all got to get out quick, because it's fixing to destroy itself. So he cuts this deal. The deal is the ingenious recreation of the biggest evil you could possibly imagine. God told Abraham for 400 years they are going to be in Egypt. They were only there 210 years, which is the secret of Rosh Daled Vav Radu 210, which is the words, go down. Go down to Egypt. Go down.
Rosh Daled what?
Rosh Daled Vav. So we are left with a problem. Where's the other 190 years? Ketzi ha-yamim, the end of days. The end of days is 190. You can say yamin with an N or yamim with a mim. It's the same thing. The last words Daniel writes is yamin, the end of days. This 190. So when he makes this deal with the other side, they have to get out. The other side, the Egyptians say, get out or we're all going to die. So it says, hapazon, rush or hurry and finish by midnight. Get out and do it by midnight. Right? This is why you have to finish and eat the matzah before midnight. The Leshem says that the plagues lasted 1 whole year. Why the hurry? Because evil is about to die. The Pharaoh had freed the slaves 6 months earlier at Rosh Hashanah. So they could have left any time. So what's going on? You know, the way the movie shows that, Moses goes in and he says, y'all can leave, the slaves are free, and so go home and get your lamb and kill it, cook it, eat it, put the blood, the death angel's coming in tomorrow, we got to go. It's not how it was. Something cosmic is at work. The light of Hashem is getting stronger and stronger and stronger because the Shekhinah is pregnant. The other side is about to die. So what's the deal he makes? He's going to increase the other side. Who did Moshe take out with him?
The
Erev Rav. Rav, eagle. What has plagued Israel ever since Passover on Moshe, with Moshe?
The
Erev Rav. He has to do an inversion of the 49 days. What is born at the 7th day at the sea? 2 things. The birth of the nation of Israel and the birth of the ultimate evil. Hasidim and Guvurot. It's the dance of Hasidim and Guvurot. There must be polarity. If this is going to be the greatest good God has ever created, ipso facto, this has to be the greatest evil ever created. There are 3 stages of birth. After you give birth, it's the nursing stage, it's the adolescent stage, and it's adulthood, right? So the first night, this 24-hour period of Zon Nuk, they had regressed to hide from the Nakash. They were not adults. Abba and Ima garmented them that night. She is pregnant. This is the 3 times a day you're davening. Nursing, adolescence, and adulthood. Morning, noon, and night. But now, It only lasts for 24 hours. This is the Immaculate Conception. Ben Zoma, one of the four with Rabbi Akiva that entered the Pardes, he's the one that went batty. So they asked him a halakhic question. They said, what is the halakha of a virgin who is pregnant? Can a Kohen Gadol marry her? Because a Kohen can only marry a virgin. How can this be? How can the virgin be pregnant? And they came up with a scenario. Well, suppose she was swimming in a body of water and there was light emanated in the body of water. But this is rare. But I guess it could happen. This is the sod of the pregnant virgin. It is the rarest possible scenario you could possibly be. But it happened. Job says, because Job gets attacked in this deal. Job is the scapegoat in this whole story. He's, the Satan says, he goes, okay, don't attack my people here because we kind of cut this deal. What about Job? You consider Job over there? He goes, oh, okay, yeah. Job worked for Pharaoh. Evil attracts evil. I can go over there. Of course, that's long enough for the other side to look the other way so he can do his thing. Because he knew Job wasn't going to fall. And Job didn't fall. Everything that Satan said to Job was a lie anyway. His family that he added back to him was his original family, if you know the story. He says, Job tells God, he goes, God, perhaps you mistook me as your enemy. Because Evoy is how you spell Job. Oyav is enemy. If you read Job one way, it's Job. If you read the other way, it means the enemy. And God lists Job. So God speaks to Job and he goes, okay, I'm going to list all the things I've done. And he goes, the enemy is the serpent. So the sages tell a story right here about a certain mountain goat. Y'all remember this? Remember the story? There's a certain gazelle. Oh, we said gazelle a while ago. There's a certain mountain goat that lives on a mountain whose arch enemy is this viper, this serpent. They're constantly at war. But when this mountain goat gets pregnant, when this gazelle gets pregnant, it has a very, very, very tiny birth canal. But there's one thing it knows. It knows that the bite from the serpent is what God had arranged during this time. The poison of the serpent dilates her birth canal big enough so she can have her fawn. So she backs up to the serpent's hole, squats in front of it, and it bites her. She dilates and gives birth. It pleases both of them because the snake likes to bite and she needed help. And this is the story of Passover. In the Talmud, the word darkon, not serpent, is used here. This is the sod of the seventh day. The first night of Passover is all of the organousic light is here. If they would have stayed one more second, evil would have been killed. The seventh day, here it's normally months. A woman is pregnant for 9 months. It says a tzaddik is born in the 7th month. But a super tzaddik is born at 6 months. He's a preemie. Moshe was born at 6 months. But a tzaddik is born at 7 months. So, if we have already crunched months into days, she is 7th month pregnant. This is the secret of the 7th day of Pesach. The tzaddik is born. The nation of Israel. It must be accelerated at the sea, the birth canal. It won't come out because they are in 3D. They are trying to birth some 4D aspect that's in 3D. God has realized He is Israel. Adam is Israel. God. He has gotten stuck in the vortex of 3D, which is what He was trying to do to begin with. But 3D doesn't exist. So it's going to snap back quickly. So what happens? Nachshon, who is derived from the word Nakash, jumps in. Moshe takes his staff as well. He says the 72-letter name. The 72-letter name, you read it this way, and then this way, and then this way, like a serpent. Frontwards, backwards, frontwards. And then the 42-letter name, which is Guvarot. This was the medical procedure of the episiotomy at the ripping of the sea. This is the holy Nakash, Moshe, the holy Nakash, with his knife, his scalpel blade, because it's in Kadnut. And whenever it's cut, let's give a story. Let's elaborate this with a conscious story that we can wrap our mind around. This 12-year-old girl is all the way pregnant. And she's got about a 13-pound baby. She's got a problem. She's in downtown Detroit. She's trying to get a taxi to go to the ER. And she flags a Pakistani taxi driver down, and he says, "Oh, I can take you to a hospital." So she gets in, and he gets lost, and he's in the worst part of Detroit you can possibly be in, and the car stalls out in the worst neighborhood in the world, and there's people and gangs coming up, and they're pounding on the car, and they're lifting the car. She's screaming bloody murder for her life. Not only is she scared about all the evil that's coming around her, it ain't going to fit. And in the commotion, a window breaks, and a hand comes through the window, and it has a sterilized scalpel. Well, the Pakistani driver just happens to be a nurse practitioner on his days off, and gives her an episiotomy and the baby's born. The secret is, where did the scalpel come from? This was the other side's gift, so to speak. This is what it allowed it to happen. It is fixing to rip from Cottonute to Godloot in an instant. This is the Nakash's knife. But when you cut, you bleed. When you birth, you bleed, which is exactly what it needed. to stay alive. The other side feeds on blood. And it destroyed 600 chariots. How old was Noah when he got in the ark? 600. Same story. The ark, Katnut, Malchut. Right here, Katnut, Malchut. The same story. That's why all the attacks on Israel and Jerusalem are generally worse this time of the year. Monday we had a bus blow up in Jerusalem. Why? Because it's in Katnut. And the other side knows it. And it attacks. Every single year. Why? Because it knows it was tricked. Sleight of hand. The other side knows it was tricked. It fell for it. Because God brought something from 4D. And the other side doesn't have anything from 4D. We call them the nation of Israel. Some of them are our buddies. The other side knows its life is dependent upon Israel, and it hates it. It hates it. But now, evil has been infused with a new version, 3.0 version, or 10.0, or whatever you want to call it, of life. This is the 40 years of awfulness they spent in the desert. This was the trade-off. What was born? Erev Ra. It got to go with them. This is the secret of the crown and the thorn. The crown can only go up as high as the thorn pushes in. Pushing into Egypt, the thorn, the crown gets to go that much. The further it goes, the further it can go. This is what the hametz is, the yeast. The yeast must die. But why? Why do you get rid of it? Because it attracts the guvarot. It's the whole birth process. You're trying to get rid of things that attract the other side. Rabbi Akiva had 24,000 students. They were in two different groups, 12,000 and 12,000. They all died between the first day and the 32nd day of Passover into County of the Omer. What happens on the 33rd day? 32 pathways of wisdom plus the Koel. You see, Rabbi Akiva found 5 other disciples. One was Simon Bar Yoshi. Yocha, whatever you want to, however you say it. Yoshi. Oh no, I say it, I read it all the time. What did he do? He gave us the Zohar. What is coming through this whole thing? Her. The oral Torah. The female. The Shekhinah. The ultimate brilliance. This is what it is. They have barley. The barley sacrifices go to wheat sacrifices on day 50. Barley is considered for the animal bread. Behemoth, 52. Nukva. The wheat is Ma, 45. Nukva and Zah. To 50, Bina. He's counting the Omer. Going to get Torah. Moshe and Israel. Zah and Nuk. Up to the mountain. The mountain is the Huppah. Of course, he made him stay on the backside of the mountain because he knew the Arab Ra was with him. On the backside of the mountain is where they built the golden calf because that's the other side. He knew what he was doing. If it would have been born on the first day, it would have blown out all of the klipa. There'd be no free will. In the end, Isaiah says, I will take you out slowly. Because at Passover, he took them out in a hurry. Why would he take them out slowly in the end? He took them out fast to preserve the evil so there'd be free will. In the end, he's going to take them out slow. The light's going to blow out the evil, and it's not going to be anymore. This is why it's slow. Because as more light infuses into the earth and evil gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it will bring its own destruction on its own head. That's the purpose. That's why things appear to be moving slow, but they're not. So the Ger does tikkun on Passover for the body of Esau for the vengeance of stealing the Immaculate Conception. It took the holiest thing of the world, which is birth of the Jews, from Atzilut, and put it on their God. That's the deal. So this is the first realization of true evil. Not only is this the birth of something very special, it's the birth of the worst of the backside ever. It has increased its power. So what's the big deal? The big deal was it was done in Katnu, which is the secret of what Solomon said. Solomon said, there's one thing I can't understand. This is funny coming from him, right? He goes, I can't understand the secret of, basically I'm going to paraphrase it, the serpent that can cut the rock. Now we know, what's he revealing and what's he concealing? He's revealing and concealing this very story. The serpent cutting the rock. He gave you the answer, and what he said he didn't understand. You see, I don't understand the serpent cutting the rock. The Malchut. Because the snake, the Nakash, is what cut him out. Is what bit him and allowed the baby to come out. The story of the gazelle. So Moses lives all this, sees all this, knows all this. He gets over there. What does he do? Hits the rock with the deal. Right? Fine, right there in the lower. Coming out water. What does he do again? The next rock. Leah. The first rock was Rachel. The next rock, Leah. What does he do?
Supposed to speak to him.
Supposed to speak to that one. He hits it. This is what Solomon's talking about. This is the serpent. This is the staff, the serpent, cutting the rock. You do that on a higher level, you're bringing evil there. No, Moshe. You see, it can't be there. It can be in the lower, because that's where it is. Because it's polarity, positive, negative. But not up here. Not in this realm. Because if you cause a birth, a cutting open of Malchut there, of blood there, it stimulates the other side. It had big consequences for Moshe. But it was all part of the plan. Right. The Zohar and Torah use a word called Yam Suf. Yam Suf is translated mistakenly as the Red Sea, correctly as the Sea of Reeds. What is this? What is the Sea of Reeds? What is Yam Suf? What do we know that sounds like Soph?
Maybe sold? No.
What's above Ak?
And so. And so.
And Soph. Yam is the Malchut of Soph. What is the Sea of Reeds? It is the edge of the Ein Sof. That is the secret. It is the Malchut of the Malchut. And what is the ripping of the Yom Sof? The Malchut of the edge of the Ein Sof? As it's ripping all the way up to Keter. Because the sea is Malchut. It brought it from there, and now it's ripping it through creation, space-time. Because it finally saw itself, touched itself, felt itself, understood itself, and it knew it had to continue the other side to keep this thing going for the birth of itself, which is called Israel. This is the end of the edge from God's perspective. He has completed his 26. He finally has a relative real reality. How? Based on the other side. Concretizing the other side, making it more, allows him to be more. Not only it is the birth of the holy nation, it is the birth of the other side. Equal proportion, except for 51 verses 49. This is the ultimate dance of Hasidim and Guvarot. Right here. He realized how his 3D got on the outside. He made a Reese's peanut butter cup. You got peanut butter in my chocolate. No, you got chocolate in my peanut butter. That's the argument that they had. This is the secret of the gazelle and the serpent. Its own gynergy got on the outside, and now it was finally tangible. It's the Ein of the sea. Israel saw it rip from Malchut of Malchut to the Keter of Malchut. This is the secret of the seventh day from the first day. The sages say Not only did that sea split every sea on the face of the earth, every body of water split on that day. This is the secret of free will. And the Torah is amazing, and the sages are amazing. And we'll see you next week.